She was a brilliant pilot, a devoted mother, and a woman building a future for her child. But behind the closed doors of her Colorado home, a deadly plan was already in motion. After Thanksgiving 2018, Kelsey Barrett vanished without a trace, and the man who claimed to love her calmly told the world she had simply walked away. What investigators uncovered instead was a chilling story of control, obsession, and a murder so carefully planned that it shocked an entire nation. This is not just the story of how Kelsey Barrett died, but how lies, manipulation, and silence allowed a brutal crime to unfold right in front of everyone, and why recognizing the warning signs might be the difference between life and death. She was a loving mother, a skilled pilot, and a woman with her whole future ahead of her. Yet, in November 2018, Kelsey Barrett vanished without a trace, leaving behind a terrified family and a mystery that would soon unravel into one of the most disturbing domestic violence cases the world had seen. Kelsey Barrett was only 29 years old when she disappeared from her Woodland Park, Colorado home shortly after Thanksgiving, a time meant for family, warmth, and gratitude, not fear and betrayal. From the outside, her life appeared stable and promising. She was a flight instructor, a dedicated professional training U.S. Air Force cadets, and above all, a devoted mother to her young daughter, Kay. But behind closed doors, Kelsey was living with a man whose control and manipulation would ultimately destroy her life. Born on September 15, 1989, in Moses Lake, Washington, Kelsey was raised in a close-knit family that valued kindness, discipline, and perseverance. Her parents, Cheryl Lee and Darrell Barrett, instilled in her a strong sense of responsibility and compassion, qualities that followed her into adulthood. Kelsey was known for her cheerful personality, intelligence, and relentless determination. She pursued aviation, a demanding and male-dominated field, and succeeded through hard work and resilience. Those who knew her described her as gentle yet strong, ambitious yet deeply caring. In 2017, she gave birth to her daughter Kay, the center of her world and the motivation behind every decision she made. Kelsey's relationship with Patrick Frazee began as a whirlwind romance, intense and fast-moving, but over time, cracks began to show. Friends noticed changes in her behavior and sensed that Frazee was controlling and manipulative, though Kelsey rarely spoke openly about her struggles. She was private by nature and hesitant to burden others with her problems. Frazee contributed little financially or emotionally, leaving Kelsey to shoulder the responsibilities of work, parenting, and stability alone. In an effort to build a secure life for her daughter, Kelsey purchased a condo and moved to Woodland Park, hoping for a fresh start. Despite the distance, she remained extremely close to her family in Washington, especially her mother, Cheryl, with whom she spoke frequently. When Kelsey suddenly stopped responding to calls and messages, alarm bells immediately rang. The last confirmed sighting of Kelsey was on November 22, 2018, when she was captured on Safeway surveillance footage shopping with her daughter Kay. She appeared normal, focused, and very much alive. Later that day, she returned home to prepare Thanksgiving dinner, a meal she planned to share with Frazee. After that, she vanished. Days passed with no contact, no social media activity, and no explanation. For a devoted mother who never went anywhere without her child and rarely went silent, this behavior made no sense. When questioned, Frazee claimed that Kelsey had broken up with him and left to give him space, a story that immediately felt wrong to her family. As investigators began digging deeper, inconsistencies emerged. Phone records showed activity linked to Kelsey's phone in Gooding, Idaho, 3 days after she was supposedly gone on her own. This discovery directly contradicted Frazee's narrative and raised serious suspicions. Law enforcement quickly realized that this was not a voluntary disappearance, but something far more sinister. As pressure mounted, investigators uncovered another key figure in the case, Crystal Lee Kenny, an Idaho nurse and Frazie's former girlfriend. Phone records revealed frequent communication between Frazee and Kenny both before and after Kelsey's disappearance. When questioned, Kenny initially downplayed her involvement, but the evidence was overwhelming. Eventually, she confessed to playing a role in the cover-up and revealed a horrifying truth. According to Kenny, Frazee had been planning Kelsey's murder for months, driven by obsession, control, and a bitter custody dispute over their daughter. He had repeatedly tried to involve Kenny in killing Kelsey, suggesting methods that included poisoning her coffee or beating her with a pipe or baseball bat. Kenny claimed she refused each time, but Frazee's fixation only grew stronger. On the day of the murder, Frazee acted alone, unleashing a level of violence that stunned even seasoned investigators. Kenny later admitted that after the murder, she helped Frazee clean the crime scene, scrubbing blood from walls, fixtures, and even the child's belongings. This confession marked a turning point in the case. The carefully constructed lie began to collapse, revealing a calculated and brutal crime hidden behind a facade of normalcy. As detectives reconstructed the timeline, it became clear that Kelsey had never left that apartment alive. The truth was far darker than anyone had imagined, and the next revelations would expose the full extent of Frazee's cruelty and the unimaginable suffering Kelsey endured in her final moments.
What investigators uncovered next transformed Kelsey Barth's disappearance into a nightmare of calculated violence and chilling deception, exposing how far Patrick Frazee was willing to go to erase the mother of his child. Inside the Woodland Park apartment, forensic evidence told a story that words could barely capture. Kelsey had been brutally assaulted, beaten repeatedly with a baseball bat while her young daughter was in another room, unaware of the horror unfolding nearby. To silence her screams, Frazee wrapped a jumper around her head, continuing the attack until it was fatal. Blood spatter covered multiple areas of the apartment, seeping into places that could not be fully cleaned no matter how hard Frazee and Kenny tried. Crystal Lee Kenny later described in detail how she scrubbed blood from the toilet, vanity, walls, towel rack, electrical outlets, and trash can, even discarding blood-stained toys belonging to Kaye. Despite these efforts, forensic investigators found traces everywhere, undeniable proof of extreme violence. After killing Kelsey, Frazee placed her body into a black tote bag and transported it to a rural farm, hiding it beneath hay. Shockingly, he then returned to his normal routine, spending Thanksgiving with his family as if nothing had happened. Days later, determined to eliminate all evidence, he moved Kelsey's body into a trough, poured gasoline over it, and set it on fire. According to Kenny, Frazee later sifted through the ashes, removing anything identifiable. Remaining body parts were disposed of in a river or landfill, an act that demonstrated not only a lack of remorse, but a cold, methodical intent to erase Kelsey completely. The motive behind this brutality was rooted in control and fear of losing power. Frazee was locked in a custody dispute and believed that killing Kelsey was the only way to gain full control over their daughter. He falsely accused her of drug use and violence, attempting to portray her as an unfit mother. A wrongful death lawsuit filed by Kelsey's parents later revealed that Frazee saw murder as a solution, not a crime. Even after her death, the deception continued. Frazee instructed Kenny to dispose of Kelsey's cell phone in Idaho, creating the illusion that she was still alive and traveling. Kenny used Frazee's phone to send fake text messages to Kelsey's employer, claiming she would not be coming to work, and even sent messages to Frazee himself to simulate ongoing communication. Surveillance footage, gas station receipts, and cell tower data quickly dismantled this false narrative. Investigators placed Kenny near Kelsey's apartment after the murder and captured footage of Frazee and Kenny purchasing gasoline together, a key detail that linked them directly to the body disposal. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Kenny ultimately cooperated with authorities. Her testimony became central to the case, providing a step-by-step account of Frazee's planning, the murder, and the cover-up. In December 2018, Patrick Frazee was arrested and charged with multiple crimes, including 2 counts of first-degree murder, solicitation to commit murder, and tampering with a deceased body. Kenny pled guilty to tampering with evidence and, despite expressing remorse, faced intense public backlash for her role. In November 2019, justice was finally delivered. Frazee was convicted on all counts and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 156 years. The judge described the crime as brutal, senseless, and driven by pure selfishness. Kelsey's parents were granted custody of Kaye, ensuring that the child would grow up surrounded by love rather than control. Beyond the courtroom, Kelsey Barth's case became a haunting reminder of the dangers of domestic abuse and the devastating consequences of ignoring warning signs. Her death sparked conversations about recognizing coercive control, believing victims even when they remain silent, and intervening before it is too late. Kelsey's family continues to advocate for awareness and prevention, determined that her story will save others from the same fate. While justice was served, the loss of Kelsey Barth remains immeasurable. A life full of promise, stolen by betrayal, violence, and a system that too often fails to protect those trapped behind closed doors.
If you're still here watching, thank you. Before you go, please subscribe to our channel, Dark Frame Stories, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another real-life mystery like this.